Before we begin, take 1 second, hit subscribe, and settle in, because what you're about to hear is not just about a small coin. It's about hidden power, forgotten history, and the kind of discovery most people walk past without ever knowing what they missed. Imagine holding something so ordinary that you've seen it 1,000 times. It fits in your pocket, rattles in a drawer, gets lost under car seats, and is often ignored without a second thought. Now imagine that same object carrying a story so deep, so unexpected, that it challenges everything you think you know about value, legacy, and time. That's exactly where this journey begins, with a South Africa 5 cents coin from 2007. At first glance, it doesn't demand attention. It doesn't shine like gold or carry the heavy weight of silver. It's modest, practical, almost humble. And that's precisely why its story is so powerful. Coins like this were never meant to impress. They were meant to work. They passed through the hands of shopkeepers, workers, farmers, businessmen, and everyday people just trying to get through another day. And yet, hidden inside that simplicity is a narrative tied to a nation's resilience, its economic evolution, and moments in history that shaped millions of lives. South Africa's coinage tells a story that goes far beyond metal. It reflects struggle, transition, and identity. By 2007, the country had already undergone massive change. The echoes of apartheid were still present, but a new generation was stepping forward. Economically, socially, and culturally, South Africa was redefining itself. Coins minted during this period are silent witnesses to that transformation. They circulated at a time when the nation was balancing its past while pushing toward a more unified future. Now consider the men watching this, those who've lived long enough to understand that value isn't always loud. You know that the most important things are often overlooked. You've seen tools replaced, skills forgotten, and craftsmanship fade in the face of convenience. This coin comes from that same world, a time when money wasn't just digital numbers on a screen, but something you felt in your hand. Something real. The 5 cents denomination itself is important. Low denominations are often used the most, which means they experience the most wear, the most travel, the most stories. Millions were minted, yes, but not all survived the same way. Some were damaged, some were melted, some were lost forever, and a very small number ended up different. Slight differences, tiny variations. Things the average person would never notice unless they knew exactly what to look for. This is where the mystery deepens. In 2007, certain batches of this coin were produced under conditions that later became the focus of serious attention among seasoned collectors. Not hobbyists, not casual flippers. I'm talking about men who have spent decades studying mint marks, metal composition, strike pressure, alignment, and microscopic details that separate an ordinary coin from a legendary one. That what makes this even more fascinating is that these coins weren't celebrated at the time. They entered circulation quietly. No announcements, no fanfare. They bought bread, paid bus fares, sat in jars, and disappeared into drawers. For years, no one looked twice. And that's how history often works. The most important moments rarely announce themselves. As time passed, experts began noticing anomalies. Subtle differences in thickness, unusual alignment, slight variations in design depth that didn't match standard records. To the untrained eye, nothing seemed out of place. But to someone who understands minting at a professional level, these differences raise serious questions. And questions lead to investigations. Now let's talk about scarcity. Not the artificial kind created by hype, but real scarcity born from circumstance. When something is produced briefly, under unique conditions, and then never repeated again, it becomes a snapshot in time. You can't recreate it. You can't manufacture its history. It exists because of a specific moment that will never return. That's where this 2007 South Africa 5 cents coin stands apart. As years went by, the denomination itself began to lose practical importance. Inflation reduced its purchasing power. Production slowed. Eventually, coins like this stopped being central to everyday transactions. And when that happens, most people stop caring. They discard them. They forget them. But collectors know that this is often when the real story begins. Men who collect coins don't do it just for money. They do it for the hunt, the discipline, the patience, the satisfaction of understanding something deeply while the rest of the world moves too fast to notice. This coin became one of those quiet targets, never flashy, never hyped, but always respected by those who knew. Over time, authenticated examples connected to specific minting anomalies became increasingly difficult to find. Many were already gone, damaged beyond recognition, or lost in circulation. And with every year that passed, the number of surviving pieces in meaningful condition grew smaller. What makes this even more compelling is that the value of such a coin isn't just tied to rarity. It's tied to trust, authentication, provenance, the story behind how and where it was found. A coin pulled from circulation, recognized by someone who knew what to look for, preserved carefully, and later verified. This is where legends are made. This is why stories like this resonate so strongly with men between 35 and 65. You understand long games. You understand delayed rewards. You know that the best investments aren't always obvious at the beginning. Sometimes they sit quietly, waiting for the right moment, the right knowledge, and the right person. And here's the part that really makes people lean in. There are still these coins out there. Not many, but enough that the possibility remains real. In old collections, in inherited jars, in boxes that haven't been opened in decades. That's not fantasy. That's history repeating itself. And the idea that something so small, so common-looking, could carry such weight is what keeps collectors searching. This isn't about luck. It's about awareness. About knowing that value doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers that as we move closer to the end of this story, everything comes together. The history, the scarcity, the expert interest, and the reason this coin has become so talked about in serious circles. The final number attached to it isn't just a price. It's a statement, a reflection of time, patience, and knowledge rewarded. But that reveal deserves its moment. Before I continue and take you to the final seconds of this story, where the true value of this South Africa 5 cents 2007 coin is revealed. Tell me to continue, and I'll take you all the way to the end.